Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have another challenge card. So here you can see my end result, and the challenge was to create a box card using the Swan Soirée from Lawn Fawn. I am also going to use my Mama Elephant Making Waves. In the end I will not be using this, and the Scalloped box card pop-up from Lawn Fawn. So first of all, I have die cut all the elements for the box, and I also die cut this Making Waves cover. So my box. This card will be for my mother for Mother's Day. So I decided to channel my my mother's favorite colors, and I came up with this combination, being Victorian velvet, Stormy sky, and I will also be adding aged mahogany for the splatters, but that you will see in a few seconds. So I am blending the inside of my box. I'm going to create a scene on the inside. So I just want all the edges to be darker, and I just keep blending until I'm happy. Also on the other part of the box. So I'm trying to mimic what I did on the first piece of this box, also on the second one. So after these elements are blended, I'm going to add some splatters. Therefore I'm using that aged mahogany and a bit of water, and I'm just splattering it all across these pieces. I didn't mention it yet, but I die cut everything from Neenah 110, just for those who are interested. I will also be adding some liquid stardust from Lawn Fawn. Of course, lately it's all that I do. But I really like it. It just gives that lovely shimmer, which is an added bonus on my cards, I guess. So I just keep splattering, and I also need to do exactly the same with my second piece. So I'm happy with that, and now my strange Making Waves that I die cut. So I don't have any dies that are wavy. So I decided to take this backdrop, die cut it, and then take those pieces to help me get some waves going in my box. which I thought was really smart, but maybe everybody does that already. Here I am measuring it, and I'm going to, of course, ink blend a bit on this. Therefore, I'm using that Stormy Sky, which is a lovely soft blue, but still darker than tumbled glass or anything like that. So I'm just adding that color on the edge of this wave. I don't know how to call this piece of the whole frame, but I'm adding the color on the edge of the wave. That's what I'm calling it. And then I will, of course, also be splattering the Stormy Sky on top of these. So I have 4 waves, which is perfect because you have the back of your box, and then I'm adding 2 inserts to create that 3D ID, and then there is, of course, your front flap of the box, and I'm also going to add a wave on that one. So now I'm going to add those splatters and some liquid stardust. And then all my elements can dry before I have to adhere them. So now on to the assembling of the card. So I prefer creasing my elements a bit more so that it is easier to fold everything. I'm just going over each crease with my scoring putty. And then I am going to be really nifty. So here I need those waves to be the same width as these inserts. So I just used my pencil to mark it off, and then I used my trimmer to trim it to the right size. And I'm doing this for all 4 waves. And I'm also cutting off that bottom where there is that other wave that you can see, just to make it straight. I think it's not necessary, but I wanted it to be straight when you look down from the bottom up inside your box. I didn't want there to be like any waves on the bottom of each insert, because it would give away maybe how I made it. Don't know, but I just made it flat. So here I have my box, and I prefer using some score tape when assembling it, because it's really sturdy and I like that. And I'm also adhering these waves with some score tape on my inserts. So when adhering these 2 box pieces together, I prefer adding that flap in the inside of my box so that the outside is really sleek. And now I can adhere my insert pieces as well, because you can then adhere everything together by just folding over that final piece of the box. You will see it in a bit what I mean with that. But I'm first adhering those waves, folding over my flaps, and now I'm adding some score tape so that I can adhere these flaps and my inserts to the box. So here I am lining it up, folding it over, lining it up, adhering it, and also folding it over. And when you release those backings, you can just fold over the whole box, and everything will be adhered straight on top of each other. So here I have my box ready and all the inserts as well. And now I need to adhere that wave at the back of my box. It's not always easy to do it like this, but I really wanted to have different heights in my waves, so I first needed to see how my inserts were going to be. Then here is that last wave that I'm going to add on the flap, and I thought I wanted to have that adorable finishing detail from the box, so I just die cut this piece using the box like this. Perfect. And now I am deciding which sentiment I'm using. And I'm trying to fit it on this wave, and I was so happy that it fitted just perfectly. So it's saying, I just want to say, have a happy Mother's Day. But I first had to try some other things, of course. what I really like about Lawn Fawn is that they have cut down their sentiments, so you can mix and match it however you like it. But if you put them close to each other and you line them up perfectly to each other, then your sentiment will be straight. So far I haven't had any case where that wasn't happening. So if you're struggling with getting your sentiment straight, just put every word or every piece of your sentence from the Lawn Fawn sentiments just perfectly together, and then you just need to get that one sentiment aligned straight and it will be perfect. So I'm starting with the bottom part of my sentiment because it was really tight. I needed to do it per line, but I am stamping it out in the same ink as I blended on these waves, being Stormy Sky, but this time I'm using the Distress Oxide ink just to keep everything matching. And I am also going to do some no line coloring, so I prefer to leave out any black when I'm doing that. I'm heat setting this a bit because Distress Oxide inks stay wet for quite a long time and I smear it a lot, so I didn't want that to happen and I heat set it a bit. And then I am adding my second or my first part of the sentiment just above. And I'm using the same Distress Oxide ink to stamp this one out as well. So now I am continuing with stamping out my images. I am using Strathmore Bristol smooth paper and my Ink on 3 fade out no line coloring detail ink, and almost every stamp of this stamp set. So I'm going to do some no line coloring using my zigs. I am listing the colors that I'm using below the screen each time, as well as in the supply list. So having some no line coloring ink, I prefer adding my zigs on the edges, so really tracing that ink, and then I blend it out using my blender, go back in with the same colors where I want to create some depth, and using that blender once more. So that's how I tackle no line coloring. Of course there are other manners and ways, but you just need to figure out what is your cup of tea, how you prefer coloring, but this is a way that can be handy if you want to try it. So I'm coloring each image. I'm just moving from image to image using the same colors, and I'm really sorry that some of the images will be covered by my colors that I'm using, but you know what I'm doing, so I think it will be clear in the end. So with the coloring being done, I am taking the matching dies and die cutting each element. And then I can continue with my card. So having my box here, just folding it a bit so that it knows how it's going, and here I am just figuring out where I am going to place everything. I'm trying to keep it as visible as possible for you all, but it's really not easy with a box to get everything that clear in while filming, but I'm trying. I'm using my reverse tweezers to help me keep everything in place while the Tombow Mono Multi liquid glue is drying. So my parents have 3 children. One of them is me, of course, but I also have an older brother and an older sister, so I'm the youngest. And I really like it when I'm making cards for them to represent all 3 children. Children, we are adults now, but you know what I mean. So I'm just having 3 of those adorable little ones. I'm also making other cards when I am keeping other people really in mind. When I have like, okay, this card is going to be for that person, then I really look around and try to make it as personal as possible. So someone with only 2 children would get like this card, but with 2 little dogs. You see where I'm going? So trying to personalize it according to the person that I'm going to give it to. So here I am adhering that sentiment, which is dried luckily. And then I have these 2 little pieces left. So the lily is going to be close to the sentiment, and then at heart I am going to lift it in the sky, so taking some acetate for that one, and I'm trimming it down to a piece that I can use for this heart. And then I sort of wanted this heart to be centered, but close to the mother, and of course my parents love each other, so it's also lovely that it's in between them. I must admit I fiddled a bit with it, so at this moment I thought that it was too close to the male duck. It was really covering it, but I also prefer it when my box is closed, that I can still mail it so that there is nothing sticking out of it. So I took a longer strip of acetate, glued it hard on again, and decided to add it a bit more to the right, but also really looking whether it was going to stick out of my box or not. And I'm just lowering it a bit more. Then I also, it was wiggling too much, so because the acetate is partially behind that swan, I decided to add it to that swan with some liquid glue as well, and that finishes my box card. So my crafty friend has made a box card as well. I will link to her below, and I really hope that you are going to check that one out. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I am super grateful for you all to stop by, and I'm hoping to see you next time as well. Bye!